Welcome back to Water Your Garden. I can't believe it. We are kicking off season 2. How do you feel?
Feeling great.
Feeling good? Thank you so much to everyone who has been joining us since our first season, which is a whole year ago. Like, so much has changed. It's crazy to think about. We have welcomed our first son into the world, Theo, which will have an episode coming up talking about his birth story and everything like that. And then new this season, we have my husband, Connor, who's now joining me on the mic. How do you feel?
It's a little bit different being in front of the cameras instead of behind, but
Yeah,
I think I'll adjust.
a focal figure now. We
Be
love it.
careful. I might outshine you.
You probably will outshine me. My family will definitely like you on the mic better than me. No, you joined us on a couple episodes in the last season, and I just feel like you brought like a different perspective. Well, the male perspective, if you will.
Yeah, you got a different viewpoint.
Yeah, you have a different viewpoint. So Connor's new to the show. We're excited to change that this season. We have a lineup of guests that I'm so excited about. Like I said, the biggest change, besides the fact that we completely ripped our house apart and we've been renovating that, is the fact that we welcomed our first son, Theo, into the world. Today's episode, when you're about to give birth, everyone talks about the actual act of giving birth. And of course, like having your first child and what that's like. For me personally, and I think I can say for you as well, no one really talked to us about postpartum and what that was going to be like.
No, nobody tells you what happens when you leave the hospital.
Yeah,
As soon as you close that car door,
that.
you go, "What the heck are we doing?"
Yeah, and that is pretty much what the last month of our life has been like. So today we have Dr. Ashlee O'Shell, a board certified OB-GYN, coming on the show. We're going to break down everything about postpartum. For me, I was very naive about it. I thought just because like I work hard, this is actually like embarrassing to say out loud. I just thought, yeah, I'll kick postpartum's ass as well. Like I'll be fine. It'll be all good. Postpartum kicks my ass. And so now this is kind of the episode that I wish I would have heard so I could have prepared myself better. So without further ado, here's today's episode. We hope you guys love it. This is the Water Your Garden podcast. I'm Sarah Michaels. This episode is all about you, your chance to water your own garden, pour into your own life, and grow. Dr. Ashlee O'Shell, welcome to Water Your Garden.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
We're so excited. So can we get started? Tell us a bit about where you work, where you practice, your background.
Yeah, so I am a board certified OB-GYN. I'm going into my 6th year post-residency, so about 10 years now in OB-GYN.
Wow.
I work at a private practice, which I love, and we're out of Clarkston and Bloomfield Hills. And then we deliver out of Trinity Health in Pontiac.
Wonderful. Why did you want to be an OB-GYN?
So I was drawn to it from my first rotation as a medical student. I was one of those where everything I did, I'm like, oh, I love it. And I really enjoyed it. But OB-GYN, I could really picture myself getting up early in the morning, going in. It's like an adrenaline rush every day. You get a mix of primary care, emergency medicine, surgery, and then, of course, just the continuity of care. I get to see people from adolescence up until they're geriatric, and it's so fun to be a part of everyone's like
Life.
every part of exactly
Yeah.
every part of their life. So
I always say I could never do medical, but when you describe it like that, like the adrenaline and having every day be different, that sounds so exciting. I feel like I would
Yes.
really like that.
Yeah.
And you were actually referred to me, it's so funny, you referred to me by Rhonda from the pregnancy bar.
Yes, love
But
Rhonda.
also you've been sent in one of my group chats with a bunch of the girls because you post on Instagram
Yes.
about your work, and they were just saying like what a badass you are and how much you do. Yeah.
You know, the Instagram thing, it was just one day I'm like, I wanted to just try it out. And then now it's been just so fun to be able to connect with people in the community. And women, I think they love having somebody to just have as an outlet of information. And I don't know, I'm kind of an open book. So I like to talk about all sorts of things and make it comfortable.
Yeah, which is like the best way to be for social media. So it's great. You also specialize in postpartum, which is what today's episode is all about. You work a lot with postpartum?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what we want to do today's episode with you specifically. So when we're recording right now, I am 1 month postpartum, which is crazy. And going through the whole experience, I feel like the whole time I was pregnant, I was prepping so much for birth and for having a child, and I just didn't think about postpartum at all. And I remember seeing a lot of stuff on social media, and now I feel so dumb saying this, but the truth is, especially my third trimester, my algorithm was giving me a lot of reels that were really negative about postpartum and the first couple months after having a baby. And I remember talking to some of the younger moms I know, and even my own mom, and being like, everyone's so negative. I don't know why everyone's so negative. I don't think it's going to be that bad. It's kind of annoying me that my algorithm's negative. That being said, my first couple days after giving birth were genuinely the hardest days mentally of my entire life. I was not prepared at all. I was so naive and ignorant. I gave birth later at night, and I labored for 24 hours, didn't sleep, didn't eat. And then right after I gave birth, I didn't sleep that night. I was coming down from like all the drugs. I had the shakes. I was sick. Like my whole body blew up. I had like spots all over me from breaking blood vessels. Do a whole episode on that another day. And then like the next 2 nights, you just know, maybe not everyone, because I see once again people posting on social media these like gorgeous hospital photos. I packed all the outfits thinking I'd be doing that. Not my experience. Didn't sleep for another 2 days. And then by the time I was 3 days postpartum, I genuinely was so mentally messed up. And the hormonal drop for me was so intense. And also pairing that with just like not sleeping for 3 days, I I was scared of my own thoughts, like the things that I started to think and the way I started to feel. I've never felt like that in my life. I started having like the darkest thoughts, which I'm so grateful. Like nothing to do with my baby. Thankfully, I didn't experience that, but just to do with myself in life. I remember just bawling to my mom. And I was like, I'm so delirious. I actually feel like I'm like wasted right now. Because also postpartum, which is like sweet, I had so many people being like, here, have a glass of wine, like relax, you can drink again and stuff. And I was like, you guys don't understand. I'm wasted.
Yeah. And that's like the last thing you wanted to do.
Genuinely, I was like,
Yes.
I would never trust myself that first week to have a drink because I already felt so messed up.
Yeah.
All this to say, we can talk more about it. I just felt my personal experience, I was not prepared at all. Do you come across that a lot?
Yes. And you know, it's funny when you said about the naive aspect of it. Before I had my first baby,
Yeah.
I was so naive as a doctor, counseling my patients about like postpartum and, you know, oh, it'll be okay. You know, it's all temporary. And after going through it myself firsthand, you know, I definitely struggled with the postpartum blues. And I probably had a little bit of depression that I just kind of worked through it. It was a whole different aspect of how I counseled and treated my patients. And because, again, like you said, everything's about pregnancy. We see you guys during the pregnancy so many times. We're talking about labor and birth. And then it's like fourth trimester. Okay, if you delivered vaginally and no complications, we'll see you in 6 weeks. And then you go home. And you're like, wait a second, I need to like take care of myself and this little new human and
That needs you every single second.
yes.
And your everything is new.
And even as like, you know, with your husband and just your relationship, like you're navigating being sleep deprived and just parenting and knowing what's right. It's like you feel like you just had whiplash and that everything was just like turned upside down. And, you know, that hormonal aspect, a good way to think about it is if truly you were to take like 100 birth control pills and then the next day take nothing, that is a good way to describe like the hormone drop after you deliver. It is so significant. And I don't think people realize, you know, that physiologic change that our body goes through during the postpartum period. It's significant and it can cause a lot of issues and just mentally a lot of problems that need to be worked through and supported in that fourth trimester.
Yeah, looking back now, if I even think, you know, if we were to have a second kid in the future, I feel like there's things that I would want to line up, like knowing what I'm about to experience. I will say, so we did a birthing class and it was great. They briefly touched on it and they said, you know, and be prepared. Postpartum is a real thing. You're going to probably experience a lot. It's such a significant hormonal drop. However, and maybe this is just me, but I feel like it's not. I feel bad saying this now. I just remember being like, oh, I think that I, in general, find myself to be a pretty tough person.
Yeah.
So I just naively was like, oh, I'm going to be fine. Like, I work so much. I do all these things. I can handle postpartum. I'll be fine. And then when it came, I don't even really have words for it. Like, I've told my friends, it's funny you said you can be better at your job now that you've experienced it. My friends who are pregnant now or want to become pregnant, I've told all of them, like, I'm excited knowing that I can be such a better friend to you. Because before, with my friends who gave birth, I'm like, I wasn't supportive at all. I had no idea what you were going through.
None.
Right.
No, I mean, like, you take the birthing classes. It's what, 4 hours?
Right.
Like, they cram in as much information as they can,
Yeah.
but not anywhere near enough. And then you get to the, mother baby ward, and you're in there with, the three of us, and the nurse leaves, and you're kind of looking around like, wait, what now?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
And
Like,
then-
what are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
Sarah speaking to like her toughness mentality, like every time somebody would come in and ask her how she's doing, she's, oh, I'm good, I'm fine. And like, I finally said
I
something
like
to her, I'm
couldn't
like,
even
hey, like,
stand. Yeah.
are you okay? Like,
Right.
I know like there's a lot going on right now, and like that's just your natural instinct to say like, oh yeah, I'm good, but like I don't know if you are good, and I don't feel like a lot of people even know what to say or like
Right.
how to articulate that.
Yeah.
Well, I think too, just this generation, I think our generation, we have a lot of pressure to perform well in every single aspect of our life and put on social media this highlight reel of,
Yeah.
that we're doing everything
Yeah.
perfectly. And, a lot of times I even in my day to day feel like I'm failing in every part of my life because it's just like you can't be good at it all and it's so much to navigate. And then women, we just have that extra layer of pressure of making it seem like we do have it all together. But let me tell you, most women I see, I'm not kidding, it's like the minute they come in
Oh.
and you start to just kind of talk about how it's truly going, you break down,
Yeah.
and when you're in that safe space. And that's why I think as a doctor, I'm so passionate about like, I want my patients to be able to feel comfortable coming into the room, crying,
Yeah.
and just like being a human and not having it all together because most people, in that fourth trimester do not. And they do, it's a whole identity shift that,
It's crazy.
you know,
Your
you-
life is just flipped upside down.
yes. And you can read all the books, but I'm sorry, until you go through it,
It's so different.
it's so different. So, I think now so many more people are talking about their experiences, which is so helpful. And I personally try with my patients to, during their pregnancy, prepare them for the fourth trimester and let them know, hey, you need to lean on your support system. You need to have shifts set up in place because sleep deprivation,
I know.
there's a reason why, like, it's a form of torture.
I was just
because
going to say that. My friend
Yes.
always says that. Yeah.
It's and
It is torture.
It is. As an
Yeah.
OB-GYN, I will tell you, when I don't sleep, I feel like a crazy person.
Yeah. No.
So, and it's even amplified when you're, a new mom and dad, and
Everything's new. You have this crazy like hormonal shift. You've got
yes.
so much happens at once. Like your body is no longer your own. You're having those night sweats. You have a whole nother human being to take care of. You have a whole different like being. Like I remember
Right.
thinking, I was like, it's never gonna be the two of us. And we like said that. I remember being like last date night and stuff. But until you're experiencing it, it's so different.
It is.
I remember, I think I was like 4 days postpartum, and it was like a picture perfect night. Also, summer baby. I feel so blessed. I can't imagine this in the winter. It was a beautiful night, and we were like sitting in the living room, getting ready to go for a walk. Theo, our son, was being angelic. Our dog, like nothing was wrong. And we had this big mirror in the living room, and I had been a mess for a couple days, so I was trying really hard not to just consistently put that on people. So I was trying really hard to act normal. And I remember like Connor was getting the bassinet and everything ready for the walk, and I was just looking in this big mirror while I held Theo, and I was just like in my head over and over saying to myself like, smile, be normal, and I felt like the saddest I've ever felt in my entire life. And it brings on so much guilt because like I had everything I asked for. I had my healthy son, nothing was wrong, and I couldn't, to this day I can't explain to you what was going on inside me that I genuinely felt like I don't like want to like live. Like I'm so sad and I don't want to put this on people and freak them out and tell people that. What is going on in a woman's body postpartum when they're experiencing those feelings?
Yeah, so during your pregnancy, we have these hormones, your estrogen, your progesterone, your placenta is releasing hormones, and right after delivery and after that placenta delivers, all those hormones significantly plummet, and that makes your body just it changes physiologically and it takes time for that to recover. And that's why you're experiencing too, like the hot flashes, the night sweats,
The night
and,
sweats.
you know, yeah, like you'll wake up drenched, you're leaking, you're bleeding,
Yes.
like you're just, I mean, and then
Literally.
you have all these people wanting to come
Yeah.
over, and then you feel like you need to entertain.
Oh my gosh,
because,
I forgot about the bleeding too.
yeah, the
Yeah,
bleeding,
I was
everything. I mean, it's just like, and then, yeah, people are coming over. You feel like you need to entertain them. And like you said, like put on a fake smile of like, oh, I'm great. I'm not sleep deprived. And, and then again, that broken up sleep that you're having, especially if you're breastfeeding and it's only you that can feed your baby, that's every 2 to 3 hours that you're needing to be woken up. So you're never able to be in that like deep sleep cycle, which as time goes on, that is chronically stress is going to happen, which then that just adds on to like the hormonal aspect of it. So this all plays a role, not only physically, but mentally too, with how you're recovering in that postpartum state.
When you have women call you who are experiencing this, I did call the OB. I feel really lucky. Like every week it's gotten better and better for me. But that very first week, I remember thinking, like I knew, I was like, if this doesn't get better, I will need medication or
Yes.
something because I can't continue this way. I'm really grateful every week, like so much better. But for women who call that first week and they need help or they're asking for help, what do you typically tell them?
So I have them come in. We always have like same day appointments available for our patients, and
Amazing.
have them come in, make sure the support person, whether that's spouse, mom, whoever comes in as well, because I think having the support person there to be able to hear what's going on and then keep an eye out for things that would be red flags is super important. So typically have them come in. We have something called the Edinburgh Postnatal Depression Scale. It's a great like quantitative way to keep track of somebody's progress in that fourth trimester, as far as data goes, to be able to compare with each visit. So I always have somebody fill that out. We review it together and then just start with the basics of how are you feeling? Tell me what's going through your head. Do you have any harmful thoughts of, harming yourself or your baby or anybody else around you?
Or your
Because
husband.
yeah, exactly.
I still have the third a little bit sometimes. No.
And this is something that I know people are like, oh, that would never happen to me. But
I mean, that's what I thought.
yeah, in
Yeah.
the postpartum state, physiologically, it can absolutely happen. And so it's so important to bring those questions up and make sure that that's not the case. I always talk about, do you have a therapist? I don't care how like stress-free perfect your life is, even though nobody's life is stress-free and perfect, but having a therapist, especially after having a baby, long term, like forever, I recommend it because you're going to be navigating so many different, just like times of life where things are going to be changing.
It changes you.
Yes,
I feel like my whole
exactly.
outlook on life, honestly, like, I mean, we've talked about this. Even the shit that I would take beforehand, now I'm like, nah, I don't have the capacity for that.
Right.
No.
Your mental load like changes for sure. So I always recommend let's get you in with a therapist because it's good to have somebody that's not your spouse, your mom, your friend, like a non-biased person,
Mhm.
to be able to vent to and help with different like coping skills. So that's always my first thing, would be a therapist to look into. And then, we do discuss the medication route. Some people are very hesitant about it. I try to counsel that, hey, this isn't something that if you need it, you're going to have to be on it long term. I have people who are on it just for that first 6 months of
Mhm.
transitioning. A lot of people too for that first year postpartum. And then I have others who are like, you know what? I feel great on it. It like stabilizes me, and they stay on it long term.
Mhm.
And we have a few that are great and safe during pregnancy, postpartum, and long term. So, but those are some things that we discuss in the office.
Nice. I think that when I was going through it, I was really close to calling. Some should say maybe I should have called. But one thing that I did do, this would be very controversial, just because I was so confused about what was going on, is I did talk to ChatGPT, which I know is controversial.
You know what? I love
And
I love
they
ChatGPT.
sometimes my little pocket therapist, it introduced me to the concept. I didn't know anything about postpartum.
Yeah.
It talked to me about the baby blues.
hmm
Can you talk to us about what the baby blues are and how they differ from postpartum depression?
Yes. So the baby blues is typically up to 70% of women will experience it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's usually within the first couple weeks of postpartum. When it becomes more a concern of postpartum depression is beyond that couple weeks time period. And when it's interfering with your day to day,
Mm-hmm.
it's interfering with your functioning and affecting your day to day life. We typically see postpartum depression that usually will happen like weeks after,
Yeah.
as early as like 2 to 3 weeks postpartum, and then end up where, again, it's impacting your quality of life. It's
Mm-hmm.
no longer just having crying spells. It's now where you don't want to leave the house, you don't want to see people, you're crying multiple times a day, and just even having like intrusive thoughts.
I feel like I had the opposite of so many of those things. I can't stay in the house. We were talking about this before we started recording, especially
Yes.
when I first gave birth. I was like, I cannot be home.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm alone with my thoughts, then that's scary to me. Like, I constantly had to be out and about.
Okay.
And it's so funny because I think even a week postpartum, which is when I mean, I still was definitely struggling, but things were going uphill. We went to a friend's birthday party. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, a week postpartum, you're here. That's so brave. Everyone kept saying, that's so brave every time they saw me out postpartum. Specifically, they kept being like, you're so brave. And I was like, no, if I was brave, I'd be home alone.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here with you because I can't be home alone.
Yes, that makes sense. It's funny. I was the opposite. Normally, I'm like, I need to be out and about, busy. When
Yeah.
I was postpartum with my first, it almost felt like I was in jail. And I didn't leave the house.
Oh,
And this is one thing I recommend with my patients. Like, first thing in the morning, get up and shower and put makeup on.
yeah.
Because there would be days where I wouldn't shower. Sometimes I wouldn't even brush my teeth. And then the end of the night would come, it'd be like 8 o'clock, and I would shower for the first time. And I'd be like, oh my God, I forgot to put my deodorant on. And then I would just sob in the mirror, being like,
Aw.
who is this person? And like,
Yeah.
you just feel so just gross.
Yeah.
And then I found that once I actually started like getting ready for the day
Mm-hmm.
and not stressing about like, oh my God, is my baby going to be okay while I'm in the shower for 10 minutes?
Yes.
It changed, like it helps mentally so
Mm-hmm.
much, just feeling like a human.
Yeah.
So
I will say, I do think that's one of the biggest things. I have not done everything right, but every day. I mean, I've got to shower. I don't know what your night sweats were like, but mine are disgusting.
yeah, I just was so
Yeah.
depressed that like I couldn't do it.
Aw.
It was
Yeah, of
like,
course.
I was, no, the one thing I was worried about was like, again, is my baby going to be okay just sitting in that
Yeah.
little chair? Or I was so worried,
So scary
you
at
know?
first. Oh my
Um,
gosh. Yeah.
so it's just funny how everybody experiences it differently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, you wanted to be out of the house. Me, I couldn't even think about going and being out of the house, because then I would have had to put on a fake
Yeah.
show of, oh yeah, I'm great, I'm
Yeah.
loving this.
Yeah.
When, it's a lot.
I know. I feel like that was It is still. Like, I still every day. So Connor goes back to work this week.
Okay.
He's been home. So this will be my first week. I got plans every day. I'm like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
I got to do stuff.
Yes. You need to keep yourself busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, I'm just like constantly thinking about it. From the guy perspective, do you feel like there are things about postpartum that you wish you had known more about or been like a little bit more prepared for?
Literally everything.
Everything.
Yeah,
Like,
that's right.
no, like I think like as a guy, like you experience childbirth, it's the craziest thing you've ever been a part of. And like I've talked to some friends of mine that haven't gone through it and they're like, what's it like? And I'm like, I can't even tell you. Like you have to go through it for it to really sink in, like what's happening. And like even from the perspective of like Sarah, a few days after saying like, I don't get why I don't feel like myself. Like, why am I? I'm like, I watched you go through and your body do something that like you don't think you're capable of doing.
Right.
Like you exerted more energy.
Yeah,
Like
that's crazy.
having a third party perspective of like watching somebody labor is like, holy cow. Like that is nuts that you were 24 hours in this bed rolling into every different position and then you push this baby out. So like
you tore your body apart,
yeah.
didn't even react to it.
Yeah.
so I think like for the guys, just knowing how to better support because you know, obviously I don't know what's going on in her head. Like I know her because she's my wife and, you know, we have been together for 10 years and, you know, we kind of know what we do on a day-to-day basis and how we are. So, but not really knowing how to fully support her with the hormonal stuff she's going through and then just the emotional side of it as well. Like, you know, I did what I could, but you know, I'm sure I could have done a lot of things better. So,
yeah, I think too, just coming from the OB aspect, it's so helpful having the spouse come to the visits afterwards because
He's so smart.
we see that where you guys do feel so just helpless. You want to help, but you don't know how, especially if like you're nursing and it's like you can't even feed your baby because, you know, if you're exclusively nursing, well, then you can't really help out there. So, you know, coming to those appointments and even coming in sooner than your 6-week visit. Like I always encourage my patients, if you need to come in, don't wait until that 6-week visit. Like we're always there to be able to see you and answer any questions. And again, coming together because you know, you will see that some people, when they don't have that good support, there's resentment that builds up, or if they're not communicating, the patient feels like they're not being heard or understood. But then actually when you like sit down and talk with each other, you know, you realize, no, you're just not communicating appropriately. And everything after you have a baby is about communication and making sure that you're on the same page and supporting each other and not assuming. That's another thing. I think people assume too much in that postpartum phase where it's like, just ask the questions, how can I help you?
Well, no,
I've heard that before.
Yes.
We struggled with that, like especially the first couple of days. Like, you know, she'd be in the nursery feeding him, and I'm sitting on the couch because I'm like, I have nothing to offer in that scenario. Like I can't feed him, and then inevitably you'd come out frustrated with me about something. Like, hey, why didn't you do this? And I'm like, you didn't tell me.
Right.
So
that's such a hard one. Because I'm like, could you see the dishes sitting there?
And that's the thing about men. No offense.
But like, it is a man thing.
It is. Like you sometimes, what's that movie where she's like, I just want you to want to do the dishes. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, what is that? Is like, that's literally my
Vince Vaughn, Jennifer Aniston.
That was something I needed to learn and get better at. It's like, okay, something that, you know, she would have done or would have been able to do in the past, like she can't do. And it might not be something I would be my first thought to get up and go and do that. But if I can do it without her having to communicate it, it makes, you know, every part of the day that much easier. So, it was a struggle the first couple of days because, again, you're sitting around feeling kind of useless. And, you know, I'm sure I pissed her off a lot, but
it's like when you're breastfeeding and, you know, I love you, but like you're breastfeeding, you're like doing all these things, you're like trying to keep up with the laundry and the dishes, and you come out and your husband's sitting on the couch on his phone.
Well, in my defense, the World Cup has been going on, so I've been watching a lot of that.
Oh my God, I love it.
Movies with breakup.
The breakup. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
that's a terrible title. He obviously never wanted to do the dishes.
Yeah. Well, listen, I have my breaking point, and my husband and I laugh about this, like
Yeah.
to this day. Like we
You
always
gotta
talk.
laugh about it.
Oh yeah. I was exclusively nursing with
Mhm.
my first, and so it was every 2 to 3 hours I was awake,
Cluster
breastfeeding.
feeding too.
Yeah, like,
Ugh.
just losing my mind.
Yeah.
And it was a Friday night, it was week 5, and he had a friend over,
Mhm.
and they were in the basement. We have a cigar room in our house in the basement, and they were having a cigar and a glass of whiskey. And I sent him a text as I was like upstairs, just again,
Sweating,
miserable.
bleeding, covered in
Yes,
milk.
yes,
Yeah.
sleep deprived. And oh my God, we still, like, his friend immediately left.
Yeah.
And after that, number one, I was like, I can't do this whole exclusively breastfeeding thing. I had to make a change there just for my own mental health. But
Mhm.
he goes, I don't know what to do because I can't feed him. And
There's so many other
Yeah,
things. I
you
get
know.
that logic. I get why you guys think that way. But I feel like too, there's exceptions to every rule. I feel like a lot of times women intrinsically just like do a lot of things that the dishes. Men don't think about. I'm like, you could be doing the dishes, you could be doing the laundry, like all those little things that like you're no longer physically capable of doing because every second there's a little human on you that needs you.
Right. Yeah. So it's just that was a breaking point for us where like
Yeah.
changes were made, and then also we communicated where then it was like, okay, moving forward, things got better, and just showing that communication is just so important.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In this change of pace of your life. So,
I think I've gotten better.
No, you have. You've
She
been
sits
great.
down to feed.
Yes,
I
yes.
poke my head. Hey, can I get you anything?
Yeah,
Yes.
and that actually
Do you want me
means
to
so
change
much
him?
to me.
Like,
yes.
Like just having someone, it's really just like asking. Like
Yeah.
when you're feeding and you like are using, sometimes they're on, they're off, they're spitting
Yeah.
up, today. On and off, blow up on my pants that I was gonna wear to this, spit up in my hair after I just did it for this. And then you just popped your head and you're like, you need anything? Just like being asked
Yes.
is like so nice. It's like, oh, I'm like not alone, covered in
Yes.
poop and spit up.
Yes.
There's at least like another human being.
And, something
Here.
I tell my patients too that I found to be helpful is even just having my husband sitting there with me while I was feeding. You know what I mean? Just as like that,
yes.
even when they can't do anything.
It's just
like
a feeling of support.
Yes.
I did wake him up a couple nights ago, and I was like, "Can you just like be awake at the same time as me?"
Yeah. No, it's like
like
because
so
it's
I'm not like alone
isolating.
in the world. I was like, I just need to know there's like another human being awake, so I can stay awake, so I can make it through this feed.
Yes. And I don't know about you, but the nighttime, do you ever get the dread of like knowing night is coming?
That
Every
was
night.
another. It has. We are lucky. He's been doing, and who knows what he'll do tonight. He's had like 3 good nights in a row for the first time in his little tiny existence. But there was a couple nights ago. Like I put him down, and I get so much anxiety sometimes because I'm like, okay, I have to get down as soon as possible. Otherwise, like if it takes me 40 minutes to go to bed, that's 40 minutes of sleep I left, and like I'm gonna get 4 hours tonight, so that's a fourth of my sleep. And he was in the living room, and I was like, you just don't get like the anxiety of being like, am I gonna get 3 hours? Am I gonna get 4 hours?
I mean, to be fair, like I feel bad that like
No,
I
I'm not trying
sleep
to
all
beat
night.
up on you. Yeah.
You wake up like a mother's instinct. You hear him fussing,
Yeah.
crying, whatever. You get up and like I'm sleeping like a baby. Like it's I don't even
Yeah.
I don't even hear it, and like,
Yeah.
I wish I did, but
You're not sleeping like a baby because he's not sleeping. But yes,
Yeah.
you
No,
are.
and-
Yeah, I know. I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
But I feel like even that's gotten a lot better. Like last night, you got up like and just were like in the room. And actually put away all the laundry while I was nursing.
Oh,
I know.
There
We'll
we
give
go.
you your
Love
props
it.
for that.
like why are you doing this? I'm like,
I know. No, it was very helpful. Then I got up in the morning. I was like, oh, all the laundry's
yeah.
done.
It's like one
Yeah.
less thing to worry about.
Okay, so ways that partners can show support. For those who are having those feelings and it's going past the baby blues and more so into depression,
Yes.
are there other things that you recommend for them?
Yeah, so again, not ignoring that.
Yeah.
Coming in because there are medications that we can discuss in the short term. There's actually a newer one that just got FDA approved. It is a short term, like 2-week option, and it's fast acting. So the thing about our antidepressants that we typically would start patients on if medication is the next step is it can take 4 to 6 weeks to really take effect. But the FDA just approved a medication. It's oral and it has an onset of 3 days. And it's just a medication you take once a
Wow.
day for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's really good for my patients who are having pretty severe postpartum and need a quick acting versus, a lot of people struggle with more mild that they can get away with waiting that 4 to 6 weeks for like an SSRI to start.
Okay.
So, my biggest thing is just act early. Don't ignore because it can spiral and become more of the intrusive thoughts and be a concern for something called postpartum psychosis, which is an emergency in the postpartum state and would require like hospitalization. So
Wow.
never ignore when you just don't feel like you're feeling like yourself and just always come in because there's so many different things. Obviously it's individualized for every patient, but there's so many different things that we can do to help support your postpartum journey.
I
And the
love
biggest thing
that.
I'm hearing you say is like, pick up the phone,
Yes.
call your OB, like reach out, let them
Yes.
know what you're dealing with, because it could be, you just had a bad couple days, but it could be something way bigger.
Exactly. And you don't want it to get out of control.
I've seen a lot of videos on social media lately where they ask moms how long it took them postpartum to feel like themselves. How long does postpartum actually last?
So, I usually say it takes up to that 2 years to feel like your pre-pregnancy self again.
2 years.
Yes, but a lot of
Yeah.
times by that 6-month mark is when you're really starting to get back in your normal rhythm.
Okay.
But this could happen up to the first year as well, dealing with that postpartum depression. But I think too the 6-month mark because you're usually getting in a better routine as far as sleeping, and that's
Yes.
another thing I always counsel my patients on. Establish good sleep habits with your babies early when you can, because it's only going to get harder as they get older to break bad sleeping habits, and it's
Like,
good for everybody.
what would you say a bad sleeping habit is?
Having them sleep in your bed,
Yes.
or
Just so tempting.
yeah, or
It's so cozy.
no,
Yeah.
seriously. And or even like I have people who they feed their baby way past like where their baby doesn't need to be fed overnight. It's more
Oh,
like
okay.
for a comfort thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're feeding because then they go back to sleep earlier or quicker. So like for the short term, yes, it's
Yeah, but
easier.
then long term they get addicted to that to go back to
Yes,
bed.
yes. And again,
Yeah,
everybody's circumstance is different, which
totally.
I totally understand where, life, your support, you're just trying to survive.
Yeah.
Honestly, you are in survival mode, but I'm a big advocate for setting up those good sleep habits at that 5 to 6 month mark when it's safe to do so. And once
Yeah.
cleared by your pediatrician. So,
We have been, I mean, who knows? Once again, we're a month postpartum with our first child, so very much newbies. But we have been, or I have been a little bit stricter about trying to install good sleeping habits just because I know I'm a better mom if I can sleep.
yes.
Even this week, he's gotten so much better. And once again, every night is different. But on the nights that I get a little more sleep, I can be such a better mom.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, it's true. You sleep and you're happier and
I can do more. I have
yes.
the higher capacity. What is one piece of advice that you see circulating a lot about postpartum that as a doctor kind of drives you crazy?
That's a good question. I would say there's a lot out there again where you look at all these new moms who, they're up, they're meal prepping, doing all the
Yeah.
things, just very happy and, again, almost like that they're not even phased by the fact that their body just went through this
Yes.
significant
insane
shift.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then it makes you look like, and it's again these influencers where they're putting up this highlight reel of like they've got it all together and everything's organized and their fridge is just stocked with
Yes.
all the healthy foods. And I hate it because it puts on this front and this false narrative that like this is how it should be, when in reality, no, again, you're in survival mode. Like
Yeah.
you're just trying to like get through the trenches. And so it makes people feel bad about themselves, and then as if they're not doing enough, and comparing on social media. You cannot compare your experience to anybody else.
No.
That is a recipe for disaster, actually. So I think it's hard. Take everything you see on the internet with a grain of salt, because it is hard to not feel bad about yourself, in those moments of when you see people thriving postpartum.
No, for sure. I mean, I've gone on Instagram. I mean, first of all, the hospital photos are like the funniest thing to me, just because I had
she
to get
packed.
these outfits.
Oh, yeah.
We've got bags. There was candles. There was
Oh
a
my God.
speaker.
Yeah.
We had
didn't
all
do
this
any
stuff.
of that, and we're going to take these, newborn photos. If you walked in the room we were in, it looked like a war zone.
Oh, yeah.
We
Yeah.
smelled terrible. We
smelled
looked
so
terrible.
Yes.
bad.
We're
I
not
didn't
taking
shower the whole time
photos.
we were at the hospital. I literally was covered. All my blood vessels, like waist up,
Oh my
broke, or a
God.
bunch of them, and my face swelled up so much that when I finally looked in the mirror, like 10, 12 hours after giving birth, because I was like shaking coming down from things, I was so sick. I genuinely was like, is that me?
Right.
Like my whole body was so
Right.
swollen. I couldn't get any rings on. Yeah, it's just funny to me that I
And,
thought
yeah,
we were
you're-
gonna take these beautiful photos
Oh,
with
yeah.
our newborn. Yeah,
It's but again, you look back and you laugh and you're like,
some people
well,
do.
and they
Yeah.
do, exactly. And good for them if they do.
Exactly.
But that's not
Yes.
like the norm. Like the last thing you want to do is take these fancy photos right after.
No.
What I do a lot of times with my patients is right after they do deliver, I get a picture of them, with their newborn.
Of course.
And I always say, I'm like, listen, this is the last thing you want, is to have your photo taken, but it's so nice to look back on.
You want that photo.
Yes.
Okay,
She
but that
wanted
being
to-
said,
she wanted to record it. She's
I
like, I'm
love
gonna bring a
that.
tripod.
I just wanted
we're
it
gonna
to
record.
have.
And I was like, we are
I stand
not
by it.
doing this.
I stand by. I think it would have been nice to have. But okay, so we did my birth. We'll talk about another time. It wasn't exactly smooth. It was 24 hours. I was like super out of it, really banged up by the time all was said and done. And then one of the nurses did take a photo of Connor, Theo, and I, like right when they placed Theo on my chest. I was like literally seeing double at the time that happened. And then a couple hours later, it was actually crazy. For like 2 days, I barely looked at my phone because I felt like I didn't have the capacity.
Yeah.
But at one point, I finally did. And Connor had taken that photo of the three of us, which is totally innocent, but like sent it to some family group chats. And I freaked out.
Yeah, you weren't. It was a photo of her.
Yeah.
Theo was on her chest.
Okay.
I'm sitting there.
There was nothing
Wild
wrong with you
experience. I was
sending
excited.
it. I know you were. There's nothing wrong with it, but I just was shocked because I was like, I felt so like vulnerable and
Yeah.
messed up. I was like, the last thing I want is like a photo of me.
I'll put my hand
Circulating.
up. It was a bad move.
I don't know if it was. I get why it was literally family group chats.
I know. But
So
you
I
never
totally get
know
why
what
you did it.
aunt is going to post it on Facebook
Yeah.
or,
Oh my gosh, with like my bra out, I would have freaked
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very vulnerable moment.
It is, for sure. And again, in the moment, you don't realize it until looking back. Families, too, I will say, can be very overwhelming. And so I always like counsel my patients before, they're going into the hospital, like less is more. Sure, they can come and be waiting, but that's one thing with COVID that I'll say it was nice. It kind of got rid of the visitors, because it's a very vulnerable, like intimate moment that
Yeah.
you guys are trying to figure out how
And
to
I couldn't
navigate
even
that.
like go to the bathroom. I can't imagine people like outside the door while I was trying
Right.
to navigate that.
Yeah. So I think it's so great when people limit their visitors. And I think, again, post-COVID, it's become more of a thing versus pre-COVID when there would be 10 people in the room,
Nightmare fuel.
which, oh my God, it's
I
crazy.
can't. If there's one piece of advice that you could give to new moms right when they're leaving the hospital, what would it be?
Give yourself grace. Know that it's a learning experience. You're going to be figuring it out together. Even me, I'm an OB-GYN. And when I got home with my baby and my husband, I panicked. I'm like, like, you just realize like, okay, wait, I'm supposed to keep this human alive, and like, how do I know what to do? You just learn as you go.
Hmm.
And that's like the best way to do it is firsthand experience. And then again, just being in tune with how you're feeling and talking to your support system, like
Yeah.
not internalizing and being afraid to tell people, hey, I need help or I'm struggling, because, you'll find a lot of times too, if you talk with your friends, oh my God, I went through that too, when you didn't
Mhm.
hear anything about it, beforehand. So
Yeah.
the more you talk about it, people will be able to relate. And it's a very comforting feeling too when you get that support. And, again, everybody loves connection and being able to relate to other people. I
Mhm.
think people crave that connection, and it's something very special too after having kids is it really makes you connected to other people who've gone through the same thing.
Oh, it's like a whole nother community.
Hmm.
I will say too, now looking back on it, it's crazy like how quick you forget and how different every week is. But genuinely, I think that's such good advice because one of the only reasons I got through my first week postpartum was because of the mom community and other moms that I text who told
Hmm.
me like I felt the exact same way. I had a girlfriend tell me who's an amazing mom and loves being a mom, like loves it, is so great at. She was like, yeah, I for the first month was convinced I made a mistake and I regretted having children and like I was so deeply depressed. And even though at the time I was experiencing so much, it didn't feel like it was ever going to end. Just hearing from other women that they had those thoughts too, it's so comforting
Oh yeah.
because you're like, okay, like this is normal. Other people are experiencing it. I'm not like a terrible mom for
Right.
feeling all of these things.
Right. Yeah. And it makes you feel too like, wow, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Yes,
So because sometimes in that fourth trimester, you do feel kind of like a crazy person.
every
And
day.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just having that connection and being vulnerable, people love vulnerability,
Yeah.
So, I laugh though, because before I had kids, a few of my friends had kids, and I was always like, well, I'm going to be the flexible one, like,
Oh,
with naps.
yeah.
And
Yes.
I was the most like type A,
Me. Yeah.
logging everything on the app.
Yes.
Oh, that's one thing. Can I give another piece of advice?
Yes.
Just going from my first to second, not obsessing over the schedule and the apps, like
Mm-mm.
logging every diaper,
Yeah.
I mean, because that was almost anxiety inducing. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? So I cut that out with my second, and it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders as far as like just having a little bit more freedom and not
Yeah.
feeling like we got to stay on schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was crazy with my first. Like,
Well,
That's how it
your
goes.
notes app's got to be like 47 pages long with all the feedings, the
I
times, the
do
stop.
log every feed. I'll tell you, I did some of the apps and I didn't like any of the
you
apps.
didn't, yeah.
I was like, I think these are a waste of time. You just want my data. I put every feed in my
Mhm.
notes app. I'll stand by it. Because at the beginning, the very beginning, and I'm still like I'm a month out, it helped me understand what cluster feeding was.
Yeah.
And Theo is very pattern orientated,
Mm.
which maybe a lot of newborns are. He's the only one I've experienced. So, once again with ChatGPT, I really should do some ads for them. I can copy paste from my notes his last couple days or
Oh,
things like
okay.
that, and I'll be like, tell me the patterns, tell me what he's experiencing.
Yeah.
It is so spot on. And it also will tell you, like, for a newborn, like, how he's, like, comparing or, like, what's probably coming up. It's
Yeah.
so helpful.
Oh, I mean, ChatGPT, love it. It is like a personal therapist.
It is so helpful. I didn't know what cluster feeding was until I was in it. And I was
Hmm.
on ChatGPT because he was crying every 30 minutes, latching, eating like crazy. I
Yeah.
was genuinely, like, overproducing a lot at the beginning. So I was covered in milk, like, crying. It
Oh.
wouldn't stop. And I went on chat and they're like, oh, you're in the middle of cluster feeding. I was like, I didn't even know that existed.
Hmm.
So for that alone, thank you
Oh,
to ChatGPT.
one
Yeah.
thing I will also recommend too is during that witching hour,
Mm.
um, wearing headphones. So if you experience this with the crying
Yeah.
and the purple crying they call it, or just there's
Yes.
no reason for the crying,
Yeah.
but you'll do all the things, you'll feed, change the diaper, and it's still
They're
just
just upset.
happening. Put on headphones and like put a podcast on, or even just put your baby down and step away and take a breather, because in those moments
Yeah.
it can make you feel like, again, you're going to lose your mind.
Yeah.
So those are just some things I found to be helpful, like with the witching hour time of it's okay to kind of disassociate or distract yourself
Mm-hmm.
while the crying is happening.
Yeah, you're not neglecting. Like, it's okay.
Yes.
Like, your baby can
Yes.
cry. Like, it's
Yes.
going to happen, but you need to, like,
Step away.
yeah.
Or again, because that's what I see a lot in the office when women come in, is they struggle with that witching hour, which usually happens that 6 to 8 p.m. time frame. And for a lot of people, it lasts weeks on end. And
Oh,
that can
wow.
really, contribute to your mental health, and navigating that. So that's a good little tidbit I like to recommend,
Mm-hmm.
that I personally found to be helpful.
One of our friends said that too, that they would put on the headphones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just knowing that it's okay, like you said, to put your baby down and step away.
Mm-hmm.
You know they're not being harmed at all or in pain. And this is just like a normal thing that happens in that newborn time of life. And you do need to just take a breather sometimes and, meditate.
Take a minute.
Yes.
Okay, that's a perfect transition. So the name of our show is Water Your Garden.
Mm-hmm.
And the precipice is that every episode is a chance to pour into yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do outside of being an OB-GYN to pour into yourself when you need a little pick-me-up?
So I'm very good about exercise. That is like my time. So I go 5:30 in the morning is usually when I go. It's before everybody's up in the house. It's
Mhm.
quiet, and I get that 45, 50 minutes of just not being stimulated.
Mhm.
And I know that my headspace, it makes me feel better. And so that's what I usually do to water my garden.
Do you work out at home or do you go to a gym?
I go to a gym.
Okay. I miss working out.
Yeah.
I'm
It's,
getting close.
I never
Yeah.
used to like working out. It's weird until the past couple years. And now it's like I could never picture a life without it. And I think
Mhm.
after having kids, it kind of changes your perspective on it. But it's just funny because from 7:30 in the morning until 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, I'm like, I'm overstimulated.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's just so the 5:30 time, it's like peace and before all the craziness starts.
Yeah.
So
I feel like there's something about 5:30. I see a lot of moms saying like 5:30 a.m. like that's their time.
yeah, because again, it's just before the world wakes up.
Yeah. Fair
And,
enough.
and it's kind of like too, if I waited till the end of the day, at that point you have so many things you're
It
thinking
ain't
about.
happening. Yeah.
It's just you're stressed. And so the morning time, I think, especially as a mom and a working mom, even stay-at-home mom, like, well, that is a full-time job.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But to have that time, usually 5:30 in the morning is great too before the kids are up and.
I'll have to prepare. Yeah, I mean, Theo, we have been having him get up at like 6:37. So maybe one day I'll get
He'll be
back at
back.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be back.
She was working out like a week before she gave birth.
Oh my God. Well,
She's-
that's amazing. And I'm sure it helped too with your labor. And,
Yes.
I
One
think.
would hope. I don't know what happened there, but
I think people, they feel guilty if they're doing anything for themselves once
Yeah.
you become a mom. And that's another thing I talk with my patients about all the time is you need to make sure that you're filling your cup, because otherwise you're going to be stressed out, you're going to be exhausted, and your kids will see that.
you'll feel it.
Yeah. And, so taking care of yourself is so important, and it's not being selfish. And then your kids will grow up and they'll see their parents taking care of themselves, and they'll want to do the same with themselves,
Mhm.
So I think it's very important.
Some good advice.
Yeah.
Dr. O'Shell, thank you so much for coming on. I feel like this is such an important topic, and I wish that I had listened to an episode or a conversation like this before I gave birth. So I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
and
Thank you
talking
for
about
having me, and congrats to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys are going to do amazing. And again, just know you learn it together as you are navigating it. And that's totally normal. And just lean on your support system.
Yeah. Amen. That's why we're here right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Love
you.
it. Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Thank you so much to Dr. Ashlee O'Shell for joining us on the show. Selfishly, I think I want to go to her practice now.
She was great.
I know. I want to be her patient. If you know someone who is pregnant, a mom who wants to become pregnant, just anyone who can benefit from an episode like this, please feel free to send it to them, because I wish that I would have heard all of these things. And also just whoever their partner is, to get to know better like what they're experiencing.
Oh, for sure. I mean, as a guy, we barely know what's happening as it is. Seriously, we're just there.
You know, it's for dinner.
So it's nice to have some insight into what your body's going through and then how to better support you.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.